Okay. So again, good day, good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you are, good evening. For those that don't know me, my name is Dr. Lenore Murciano Luna, and I'm very, very happy that you're here today with me and with all of us really holding this space in this really important time of reclaiming and this important time of this great awakening that we're all in, and we're all feeling it on many levels. And it's an important time. And I think, and I'm pretty sure that everybody on this call is feeling the call to reclaim themselves, to show up, to really come into their highest potential, to fulfill their purpose at this time on the planet, as we're all really feeling this great shift, the great awakening, which is a shift from the old restrictive paradigm of pain and suffering that's really anchored in fear, and breaking out of that into what we already know is true in our hearts, in our soul, to the truth of our divinity, to the truth of ourself, to the truth that we are, to our essence. And so whether you're aware of that consciously or not, I'm sure everyone on this call is aware of that consciously. That's what we're here to do today and every day. It's an ongoing process, and it's an ongoing journey. And now at the time that we're in, which we're in the October, November season, and it's really a season of calling us even deeper within. It's a season of really tuning in to the mystery that we are, but also harnessing the sacred power that most of us have only touched upon very lightly. And it's really a time of reclaiming our divinity. And I don't say that in a way that is, I say that in a very humble way, I guess is the best way to put that. I say that in a way that it's really connected to our true essence and source. And we've really been, it's like there's a lot of veils, there's a lot of darkness, different darkness, the darkness that is about separation, the darkness that it's about pain, that is between our ability to recognize our true divinity and this journey that we're in right now, that the whole world is in, but some of us are doing it consciously, and others are just kind of really stuck in the fear and in the pain and in the negativity and in the darkness. This season is also, as we come into Halloween and as we come into the darkness of winter, it's like there's a way in which the darkness has been, and this letting go process, and this process of going inward and merging with the mystery, has been really tainted with fear, and tainted with it's like really been in many ways it's been tainted with the darkness of like satanic cults, and it's tainted with the darkness of evil. And so there's a way in which we're all feeling different levels of fear at this time. And as we move into deeper into the season, that level of fear is really preventing us from going deeper. And so I want you to really just know in this moment that as we're talking about this time of darkness, there's two ways in which I'm using that word. And so what we're really talking about in the terms of the season that we're in, and the terms that we're in the season of our year, is really the darkness that pulls us inward, that wants us to go into the stillness, into the silence, into the mystery. But that essentially is our light. It's essentially the divine essence. It's the darkness of the sky at night that's birthing all of the stars. So, in many ways, we have to start letting go of the fear that we associate with darkness. And because that prevents us from stepping into our divinity and our light. And so today, what we're here to do, what I'm hoping to do and intending to do, is to really talk about these different aspects of the feminine that in many ways we've separated from, right? And a lot of us, it's been through fear. There's, also it's come in through anger and rage. And we have all of that going on because we were kind of taken away from this knowledge that we knew as women in other incarnations. We knew this knowledge. We were very close to the divine. We were very close to the divine within ourselves, and understood the divine as the great mother that gives birth to all. And, many, 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 many centuries later, we're here to reclaim that. But the beauty of it is that we already know that truth. So it's really about just letting the fear dissolve, the fear that's been indoctrinated in us culturally, collectively, and the pain and the suffering around losing our truth. And in the last few years, I have been bringing through some of the messages of the feminine from the last 10 years, actually, with the principles of conscious feminine medicine and the school of conscious feminine medicine. And what's been coming through is these 7 different archetypal faces of the feminine that we are now on a conscious level ready to reclaim fully in our being. And that's what I want to share with all of you today. That's what I want to not just talk about. I'm actually going to be reading some of the transmissions as they've come through, but it's really about allowing ourselves to embody that on the physical level, as well as understanding a little bit on the mental level, and then also feeling it on our emotional body, and then really embodying it in our soul. It's like letting ourselves really have that, really have that. That brings up one of the realizations when I'm working, with people one-on-one, a lot that has come up, especially this week, but it comes up a lot, is, when we go into healings on one-on-one and we start to move into these levels of consciousness. And I'm speaking to the soul in front of me, the person that I'm working with, and I, bring up, if I'm guided to this issue around really reclaiming our divinity. And, most of the reaction is, do I really get to have that? Do I really get to have that? And that seems to be an underlining unconscious fear, like, no, wait, I'm not really supposed to be that or do that, or, it's wrong in some way. And those are the conditioning patterns that I'm talking about. Those are the veils that I'm talking about, that we're, really ready to see them and let go of them. So as we're moving through today, as we're moving through these different embodiments of the feminine, just welcome everything that you're hearing and that you're sensing in yourself, and then allow yourself to surrender to the light, to surrender to that light, that it's not just coming in, but it's actually activating your own light, your own divinity, your own essence. We each have our own individuated essence, which we also call our soul. And by embodying those levels, that level of frequency, by saying yes to it here, while you're here in this plane, in this individuated physical plane, this is how we create those changes that we want to see in the world. This is how the feminine and the Christ consciousness is coming in through each and every person on this call in this world, as long as we're saying yes to that. It's like that's how we manifest the light here on this plane. And so we're going to be working a little bit with all of that. And I want you to allow yourself, to the degree that you feel comfortable and safe enough, to remember that this is a journey of sovereignty. This is a journey of connecting with the wisdom that's already there, with the truth that you already are, and just allowing whatever's in the way of that, all of the different veils, conditioning, etc., all of the things we've learned and we've hung on to because of survival, allowing all of that to dissolve if it's not in service to the highest, your highest level, which is your divinity, your light. And we're really coming from a place of being in alignment with whatever is in the highest for each one of you. So if there's at any time, anything that I say doesn't resonate, it's like you don't have to take that on. It's important that you check in with your own heart, check in with your own soul, and trust, and start trusting your light. And sometimes fear comes up because it's like things, it's like, what does it even look like to be, in an embodiment of our light, of our divinity? We may not know. And so we have to also, it's almost like surrendering to the mystery. And that can be scary because it can bring up a lot of things that have been done in the name of the divine, in the name of God, that haven't been in love, haven't been anchored in that true love and true light. So you have, complete freedom here to feel what's right for you. You have complete freedom to really tune in and see what's right, see what resonates. But most importantly, also notice when fear comes up, when shame comes up, when some of the other veils that have stopped you from continuing your embodiment of light, when that has stopped you. And we're human, and we've had a lot of different experiences, pleasant and unpleasant. And so we can be cautious. And I think the defining barometer is it coming from love? Does it feel in alignment with love? Because the true essence of light is love. That's how we feel it. We feel it as peace. We feel it as joy. We feel it as all of these qualities that are aspects of the love, of the light. So having said that, I'm just going to give you a few minutes. And as you get to know me a little bit, I like to, spend a lot of time letting you really take it in, so that it's not just a concept or a lot of words. It's like, okay, how do I feel? How do I feel about that right now in this present moment? Everything that was said, like tuning into what's coming up for you, what your reality is, knowing that you have a mental body that has thoughts and opinions, and you have your emotional body that might be feeling various different feelings. And those are not necessarily the light of your soul, right? Those are all different expressions that come through, but some of those are from learned behavior, from different levels of conditioning. So it's like bringing it all. We don't have to push anything away. It's like bringing it all in, welcoming all of your thoughts and feelings, and bringing it all to this place in your soul that's light. That's light. And whether you know what that light is or you don't, or sometimes you do and sometimes you don't, it's like trusting. It's like trusting your deeper essence of light. And so I just want you to tune in to your heart. And I'm just going to pull up some of the transmissions that okay. And so I want to begin with the medicine woman. And I'm going to read what has come through. And if you can, and if you feel comfortable, I want you to just sit in your heart, bringing your awareness to your heart, to your inner eye, and just feel the words as if words, these words are transmitted and they carry a particular vibration. And just see if you can feel that. And again, you always have your own discernment, trusting that. The medicine woman, she is the one that knows that she carries the true medicine for the aching hearts of this world. She is the physician of the soul that is able to move in between the worlds and help others awaken, heal, and reclaim their true soul essence and embodiment while she is in this incarnated physical body. The medicine woman of today uses her spiritual gifts to help herself, her community, and humanity, to help discover and embody their spiritual dimension, thereby transforming their experience of living on this plane. She is aware that in her essence, she carries the universal qualities that heal all the states of pain, suffering, and separation. She is able to tune in and allow the healing of our heart and the hearts of others as she surrenders to the inner healer realm that is directly anchored in source and oneness. Her medicine is one of consciousness and is one of light. And she can access these levels of consciousness through her breath, through sound, through invocation, through her words, through intention. In the world, the medicine woman has access to the wisdom medicine of the universe, and guides others, women and men, to fully embody their own personal sacred medicine. She recognizes that we all come in varying spiritual gifts and ready to be manifested here in the world. And part of the medicine woman's knowing is that by her embodying her light, she can then let that light be transmitted and heal the hearts of others and heal the planet. And so all of the other archetypes are also very, very, very connected to the medicine woman. Hmm. And so just take a couple of minutes. Then we're going to just do a few minutes of embodying that archetype within us. If you feel comfortable, if you feel safe. And we begin with just breathing into our breath, knowing that we are being breathed by Source, and that essentially we know we're not separate. We know our essence is all one, source in source and oneness in the great mother and the divine and the God, Father, Mother, by whatever name you want to call Source. And just breathing alone, just breathing activates this knowing within us. And as you breathe, you can come into greater and greater levels of reclaiming the medicine that you are needing in your heart in this moment, that is also sourced in oneness. So it's like, what is the medicine? Maybe it's love, the infinite love. Maybe it's joy. Maybe it's peace. Maybe it's safety, which we're all really needing to be reminded of at this time. It's like, what is your heart needing to be reminded of? And just tune in and see what you receive. And let it arise from your heart. Your heart bridges two realities at once. It bridges the reality of your human experience, the one that looks outward into the world and sees the manifested physical realm. But your heart also is capable of witnessing your soul, your essence and source, and the divine dimension that is not visible to the eyes outside in the world unless you've already opened that vision within you. So when I'm saying to ask your heart what you're needing, it's like asking your human experience what you're needing in this moment. To know not just with your mind, but to know with your body, to feel that truth. And then whatever that is, we can ask that as we embody and embrace the medicine woman. It's like we can ask that of our soul, of source, of our divine light, and ask to receive that in this moment. Because it's already there. And it's just remembering that true reality. The love is already there. It's your being. The peace is already there, regardless of the chaos around you. All of the qualities are anchored in the divine, so they're already there. But in our process of being human, we have forgotten. But we have the ability now we have the ability to consciously remember and embody. And sometimes you'll feel tingling, you'll feel light, you feel your energy body, your light body, starting to kind of come online as you're doing this process, as you're surrendering all your thoughts and your emotions into this light of knowing, this medicine that you carry, the medicine of your soul, the medicine of source, the true medicine for the hearts of humanity, and you included. So just allowing yourself to breathe that in. It's like letting yourself have that which you're asking for. Letting yourself receive that medicine. Letting yourself remember. And remember what's possible. And so as we are journeying today, we're going to kind of do like a little pit stop embodiment practice with each one. But of course, you can take this, will be a recording, and you can take this and you can stop here and keep working with opening up and embodying the medicine of your heart. When you repeat this, you can stop with each one and spend a little bit more time with each one. For right now, we're going to move into the feminine wisdom keeper. And so thank your heart, and just bow in gratitude as we thank the medicine woman within us, this fractal of light from source that we're reclaiming. And then we want to invite the feminine wisdom keepers. So the feminine wisdom keepers and all of these archetypal faces of the feminine we can see these as fields, as feminine codes, frequencies of light. But they're also fields that exist, that have always existed. And also an aspect of our higher self, of our essence, of our soul's essence. So we can see them as guides, but essentially we want to see them as aspects of our self, of our true self. Right? It's like, yes, they're guides, they're frequencies, but they're also within us, and they're also us. And develop a direct relationship with each one of these frequencies, light codes. And you might have already, as we go through these, a stronger remembrance with one or the other of these light codes or aspects of the feminine or feminine embodiment. And also these feminine embodiments have come through our mythology in many different ways, but it's all gotten very distorted in the last 5,000 years. And so part of our reclamation is really to receive the direct stream and embody that stream in its pure essence, in its purity, without any of the overlays that might be there in patriarchy and, confuse us or bring us into fear, and different subtle messages that act as barriers to our full embodiment. Okay, so feminine wisdom keepers, the feminine wisdom keepers archetype is directly connected to the field of oneness, where we can access the wisdom that has been held through the ages without any limitation. Feminine wisdom keepers is the archetype that holds this wisdom in place and allows us to access this field through the portal inherent in this archetype. Through the matrix of the feminine wisdom keepers, we are able to connect to our ancestors, to the truth, and to this remembrance, and to a time when we consciously were aware of the Great Mother in the Neolithic times and the Paleolithic times before 3000 BC and all the way before that. We knew the sacredness of the earth. We knew the sacredness of the mother. We knew the sacredness of source. And we held the sacredness in our bodies. And we knew the sacredness of our physical body as women, as being in this gender, as being really close to the source and being vessels of that source. And there is nothing ever lost, because this field of wisdom is always available. And it is through the feminine wisdom keepers that we have direct access into this continuum of ancestral wisdom, collective wisdom, karmic wisdom, past life wisdom, and the wisdom of the earth, the wisdom of all of the bodies, the wisdom of the stars, the planets. It's like all of wisdom comes through this field. The feminine wisdom keeper is able to access the information in between the worlds and from all of those fields and come into union with our universal mind. Some call this the field of the Akashic records. The feminine wisdom keeper keeps this portal open so that we have access to these realms from our physical embodied reality. So just take a moment to feel that in your body, because your body is the manifestation that we have here on this plane to feel these different dimensions. We can feel it palpably. That's the embodiment piece. And so, yes, we can read and we can read knowledge and wisdom from others. But essentially, we want to tune in. Even while you're here right now, it's like you're listening to the words, you're feeling the vibrations and the transmission. But then you're tuning in to your soul's light and seeing if it resonates. Does it resonate in your heart? And trusting your truth. Your truth. And this is an aspect, this is what we mean when we talk about sovereignty. It's like it's an era of sovereignty where we don't need any intermediaries, where we are the direct access to source and where we're directly accessing through gnosis. This is the mystical way. This is the way of the mystics. Tapping into feminine wisdom keepers is a name that speaks to this portal or this gateway of tapping in and receiving the direct wisdom. Also been called the Sophia wisdom. There's many, many names throughout time. And so essentially you can read many things, you can listen to know what the pulse is outside on the collective, but it's to start to really rely on your direct knowing, because you know this, you know the truth with a capital T. It's there. And you don't really need anyone to tell you the truth and what's true for you. And we've been indoctrinated to that it's not safe, that it's not safe to connect to our truth. And so those are some of the veils that we're breaking at this time. Yeah. And the truth might not always and usually isn't popular opinion, because we live in a world that's not taken full reclamation of its divinity and its sacredness yet. We're on the front lines of that, doing that process consciously for ourselves and for our planet. And so what we hear out there might not resonate. And so for a lot of us, what it's done, it's created doubt and fear. To tune in, and it's broken the trust. But it's like, do we dare to trust ourselves? Do we dare to trust and to remember? Also allowing everyone else to do the same, and knowing that your truth at any moment and your expression of that truth might be different than other people's expression of truth of one source, but the stream may be different. The way that they're expressing it may be different. The realities, the karmic realities that they have to embody and learn and move through may be different. So giving everybody else the same space, the same honor, the same honoring, respect that you need to trust your wisdom and what's coming through at any given moment in your evolutionary process. Okay, so bowing in gratitude. And inviting the wild woman archetype. The wild woman has also been shamed and deemed evil, and lots and lots and lots of veils with that. The wild woman archetype is the activating young force of our essence. It is the life force that comes through wanting to interact and move and dance and express and communicate, that active movement of life itself. She moves, she expresses, she is full of life and is completely moved by the inner impulses of the life force, by oneness. She runs free like the wind, moves ecstatically in movement, in joy, according to how the impulse is urging her to be, focused on that inner impulse. She is the powerful force of life within, and is also the vessel that allows the force of life to come through. She is not concerned with how it looks or what others think. She is free to move and be in her wildness, in her joy, in her rawness. The wild woman only responds to the inner impulse of life and takes direction directly from her source. She is in tune with the cycles of the moon, dissolving in her inner cave during the dark moon, right before the new moon, and howling and drumming and dancing and celebrating this form of expression of life, of physicality during the full moon. She is in tune with nature, with her essence, and with the wildness of her being, free from judgment and normative collective factors. She is the wild woman. So just take a couple of breaths here, breathing in, and it's almost like you just want to move. It's like your whole energy field wants to just move and free yourself from your own thoughts, from your own judgments, from anything that feels restrictive, the fears, those rules, the constrictions, the worrying, the focus that we've had for so long, this focus on what is okay, what's not okay, what's safe, what's not safe, the fear that we've had of voicing our truth, our opinions, our realities. And we want to free. It's like freeing ourselves from all of that constrictions and really anchoring in source and love and moving in love and loving and letting that love that we are, but that's also raining on us from the divine above, feeling that in our physical body, letting that love be there. It's like loving our body in every single form that it takes, in every single expression, breaking free from the norms of society and cultural and the arbitrary rules that have been created by man, devoid of divinity, devoid of being aware of the sacredness of life itself. And so just take some deep breaths into your heart space, into the back of your heart where you connect with your soul, and just put yourself in body. What would it feel like to free yourself from those mental constructs that live in your mind? And that society is constantly constantly reminding us of, intruding on our, it's like adding this template over our own life force of how it should be, what it should be, what it should look like. And what happens if you say no to that and say yes to love and feel that life force of love moving through you? letting go of all of the restrictions. Because these restrictions really live in your mind. And you have free will, so you have the choice. You have the choice to say yes to them out of fear, or say, no, I'm going to say yes to the love and yes to expressing even more love. Beautiful. And just notice how that would feel. It's like dancing in the rain or rolling around on the floor. These are some of the embodied practices that we do with this particular archetype. Letting ourselves roll around on the floor, making sure we've created a safe space, but just rolling and loosening and letting our bodies move and express without any of the restrictions, and just freeing up a little bit, just a little bit, as we allow others to do the same, right? So this is totally tuning into your life force, your impulse. Oh. Yeah, let your necks roll a little bit, slowly, slowly, slowly roll around a little bit. There's so much tension being held here. Beautiful. Take a deep breath and bow in gratitude for the wild woman, our wild woman in us, as we continue to reclaim her in our life. And now we're going to get a little taste of the Ecstatic Feminine Essence. So this is another one that has been shamed in our bodies. And I also want to point out that these archetypal faces of the feminine, in reality, they're not separate. They all are merging and existing in these dimensions and these frequencies. But in order for us to talk about them, in order for us to embody them, we have to create some boundaries so that it's kind of digestible and manageable. And so that we can wrap our minds around it. Wrap our minds around it. So the ecstatic feminine essence is, I'm going to read it. Try not to go off script. Our ecstatic feminine essence archetype is really the embodiment of our blissful nature of our light. So our light, our divinity is this blissful nature, this blissful essence that we can feel. Just allow yourself to feel that. It's like just invite, just set the intention. And we're not making anything happen. We're just opening to that. Within our being, we carry this ecstatic essence. It is who we are. It is our light. It is the light of our soul. The ecstatic essence many times is called also our life force. It's our very force of attraction in the universe. It's magnetic. That desires to merge and become one. It is also referred to as the beloved in some of the spiritual paths. It is our highest self. It's our divine self. We carry this in our essence, and it is the origin of joy and pleasure that we can feel in our bodies. Many times we experience this as our sexual energy because of its blissful nature. But in reality, our light is felt as blissful, ecstatic energy that promotes pleasure and joy. When we orient from our soul, we are able to tune in and feel our ecstatic presence within us, acting as a barometer to determine what is in alignment with our soul. In other words, what is in for our highest good. When we are in tune with our ecstatic feminine, we are able to orient from joy, from love, from light, and let joy guide us. And rather than orienting, as so many of us do, from our habituated trauma response pattern of fight or flight or fear, and this old paradigm that we're breaking out of. However, for women, it hasn't been safe to inhabit our bodies fully because our bodies have been shamed, demonized, especially our sexuality and sensuality. So we have either shut down our ecstatic essence along with feelings of pleasure in our body, or we have opened it to acceptable uses that are connected. Hmm. Or we have opened it only to acceptable uses of feeling joy, like with food and in sexual relations. And so these are the ways that we sometimes connect to our ecstatic feminine. In order to orient from joy and pleasure, we have to recalibrate our bodies to its natural state of joy through our embodiment of this reality within us, and remember this reality. And be willing to release the conditional responses of shame that have been indoctrinated in our cellular consciousness, especially with being in a female body in this plane, in this reality. We have to be willing to feel good and feel pleasure in our bodies outside of the acceptable food and sex narratives. We have to let our natural sensuality lead and free ourselves from the old dictums of being good rather than feeling good, right? So in many ways, we've been indoctrinated to be good, and do the right thing for others out there. And this has taken the place of our direct gnosis, of this direct experience with joy and the goodness of the love and the goodness of divinity. Embodying our ecstatic feminine essence allows us to recognize that the light of our being is ecstatically blissful and sacred and holy. And we can source our ecstatic pleasure directly from within, independently of any outside sources. Again, coming into sovereignty, where we are sovereign, where we are resourced from within, where we recognize that we have everything we need within. And we take full responsibility for our happiness at any given moment. Knowing that our happiness, our joy, even the experience of love is anchored in source. Therefore, it's anchored in us. And yes, we bring that out into the world, and we're here to share in the world and play in the world and express in the world. But from a place of where we're not expecting the world to fix us. unconsciously, or where we are doing in the world, we're doing and doing for others with the expectation that then they're going to do for us and fulfill us. And that is not taking responsibility for our needs and anchoring in our highest potential, in our highest source. And that is not being sovereign. So let's take a couple of minutes with the ecstatic feminine essence. And this is one that I've been really journeying with. And I also feel like it's one that's very difficult in our lineage of being a woman and feminine bodies, because there's been so much layered on top of our bodies and continues to be. And so much shame with feeling good, so much shame with the true essence of joy, where we constantly even feel guilty if we're feeling joy and other people aren't feeling joy, or even if we're, even in this moment, as there's chaos and so much pain in the outer world. And there might be some hesitation on our own part to not want to feel good. It's like, how can we even sit here and feel good when the rest of the world is in so much pain? And the secret is that as we feel good, as we not feeling good by ignoring the state of pain in the world, but feeling good by connecting to the one thing that can change the consciousness and therefore the pain in the world. The one thing, which is source, which is your divinity, which is your essence. And connecting to that, and then bringing that in, embodying that ecstatic essence, so that we can be that in the world, right? Be that which you want to see in the world, as Gandhi said. Be that. We cannot change what's happening in the world by worrying, by more fear mongering, by more criticism, by more pain and more suffering. You cannot fight fire with fire. The one source is a shift in consciousness. And that happens within you. And then that's transmitted and anchored on this plane of reality. And that's part of the whole ascension process. That's part of moving from the 3D to the 5D, and on and on and on, other dimensions. And that's what you're being called to do. If that's what you feel in your heart, and that's why you're here. So letting go of guilt, letting go of subtle feelings of betrayal because others are suffering. It's like, let's teach them by doing it ourselves, by holding that light, by reclaiming your light. You help others reclaim theirs. Teaching by example. And which is not teaching at all. It's just holding them in that light and in that reality. Making that reality a reality for them, for everyone. Making the reality of the divine a reality in this embodied space. So let's just take a deep breath here and And just ask your heart and invite the ecstatic feminine. It's like, how does it feel to feel joy in my body? What would that feel like? If I could feel joy in this moment. If I can feel that field of joy of my essence, of my soul lighting up within me right now, and I could feel that palpably as energy. And just breathing through it, letting the breath take you there. There's nothing that you need to do. It's just surrendering into the light, into the love, into the ecstatic feminine, into your highest self, and reclaiming that in this moment. Beautiful. Working with the mantras that you feel comfortable with, like I am, that I am the light, I am the joy, I am the love, I am, I am, and I reclaim the joy, reclaim the love of my being and source. I reclaim the light. And letting that transmission come in and letting that transmission activate your true remembering. Yeah. Activate your light. Beautiful. And again, we can spend hours there, at least an hour or two, but for the sake of our workshop, giving you a little taste of each, I want to first bow in gratitude for the ecstatic feminine, and I'm going to talk about the cosmic one mother. We have the creatrix feminine and the dark mother. And so cosmic one mother is the mother of all mothers, and it is also the mothering, the nurturing template within us. All of the human creation has been born through a woman's womb. Therefore, the alchemical properties of creating and manifesting life as physical form is part of the inherent birthing transformational dynamic of the womb. The womb is not just the physical matrix of the uterus organ, but it is the energetic template of the birthing manifestation, the universal principle that we each carry. Within the energetic womb, the qualities of infinite compassion are woven into the souls of each generation, hopefully anchoring our being with the light of the divine realms, while we navigate the often treacherous domain of duality. The light of compassion, union, and infinite love is anchored in each physical manifestation, whether we are able to creatively express those qualities or not. The cosmic womb mother impregnates us with the divine qualities or the non-dual qualities, a bond so strong that it surpasses physical forms and lifetimes. A mother's love is known to be the strongest bond of all because in reality, it is the separation and creation of two from the one. She carries the ability to deeply feel what is happening to her offspring as if it were her own body, which essentially it is. This is the level of compassion or union that is transmitted in the cosmic womb mother archetype. The mother's stream of compassion and union is related to this cosmic union of oneness. And as such, it allows us to incarnate those non-ordinary levels of reality into physicality through the matrix of our womb. So just let yourself feel the cosmic womb mother embracing you. Embracing you. And at times I feel the cosmic womb mother as this sphere, this womb of light that is protecting us at all times, that it's holding us, that it's loving us, that it's breathing us. Right? It's a manifestation of source, of the great mother in this version of a sphere of light. And just let yourself feel that. And that is with you at all times, and you can move into the world, especially now where there's so much pulling for your attention and your distraction. And you can move into the world with inviting the cosmic womb mother as the protection all around you so that you stay centered and in the light, knowing that everything that is not of the light, that is of lower frequency, wanting to keep the status quo, is repelled, cannot come in at all. And so feel that light of protection around you. And there's many ways to work with the cosmic womb mother, because we actually have our centers of womb and the Trinity womb within us, and we carry these mothering aspects as well and embodying that. But for right now, let's just have her protection for all of us, have her hold space for us in that light. Yeah. So that we can feel that it's always there. It's the air that we breathe. It's like we're fish swimming in the ocean of consciousness, of divine essence. And then the Creatrix feminine. And we bow in gratitude for this level of protection and awareness for the cosmic womb mother. The Creatrix feminine is that ground from which all is birthed, as well, and as a continuing creative impulse that is continuously birthing form into form. It's that creative impulse. This is the inspiring energy of creation itself, which seeks to continue its birthing into something new over and over and over and over. When we embody the Creatrix, which is an aspect of our feminine soul, we can feel the creative impulse deep within, inspiring us to continue, to evolve, to grow, to give birth to something new. This is what we normally feel, this impulse coming through when we allow ourselves to create in whichever way we're creating, whether we're using our mind and word, or colors and art, or music, or just being creative and in anything that we're doing. It could be in the most mundane thing, but we're using our creative impulse to do it in whichever way. It's like beat the drum in the way that we want to beat the drum, right? And whichever rhythm wants to move through you. This is the creative impulse. This is the impulse of life that promises to continue its evolution in a new creation, moment to moment, cycle after cycle. There's always a new creation, and we allow the infinite possibilities of creation to inspire us and to manifest through us. This is our expression in this physical form, and our ability to manifest from source. When we open up to the Creatrix within, we become inspired sources of creation, whether we create projects or babies or new ways to express ourselves. We each carry this essence of Creatrix within. And it's giving ourselves permission to embody and express this unique light. Because our creative impulse might be different, and probably is different than the next person's and the next person. And so we don't need to see it out there to give ourselves permission to create. We can create directly connected to source, and that is the source of creation. So just take a deep breath here and feeling that overflowing light of creation coming through us. It's like that evolutionary creative impulse. And that's also very closely related to the healing, because as that impulse, evolutionary impulse, as we surrender to that light that wants to continue our evolutionary process of love, of embodying more and more and more love, and expressing that love in all of these ways in our physical world. It's also that creative healing impulse within us that we allow ourselves to heal and our bodies to heal, that are always, it's that innate healing response. It's a response that when we cut ourselves, right? We cut our skin, the skin knows how to heal. It's moving, that creative evolutionary impulse is moving, directing your skin through that attraction, through that love, through that magnetic force to come together, the cells to come together and heal. And that happens, we have that ability through our whole body. We just have to consciously awaken it, say yes to it, because we have free will. Okay. And we thank that creative impulse and for the awareness of this sacred creativity that runs through us. And last but not least, and very, very apropos to the season we're in, is the Dark Mother. The Dark Mother. The Dark Mother is a transformative quality of life on this realm. On the physical plane, life is constantly transforming and dying, only to be reborn into another form. We see it in nature. We see it in all material things. It is the process of death and then rebirth. We as women experience it in our wombs, the monthly process of death and rebirth, of releasing and then preparing for the possibility of life again in our uterine lining. We experience these cycles of rebirth and death in our own lives. A new stage of life always bringing the end of something and the rebirth of something new. This transformative power of the Dark Mother allows us to release the old, to make room for the new, especially with our emotions and our own narratives, our own thoughts and conditioning. The Dark Mother brings us down into the underworld where we can face our deepest fears and narratives of separation, of pain, of suffering, in order for us to die to these false narratives, to allow our true light to emerge and being reborn over and over into our truth of greater light. Yet the dark and these transformative powers of the feminine have been demonized, have been feared, have been made wrong. We fear the dark. We fear our own power that lies in the hidden fears. And ultimately, we fear death because we have been disconnected from the eternal realm, which is our divinity. And we see death as a finality rather than the transformative process of shifting paradigms that it is, where we're shifting and we're releasing this physical body, but our essence, the divinity, that which we are reclaiming right now, that we have the opportunity to know while we're incarnated in this body, that does not die, that continues, that which is our true self. Through the Dark Mother, we transform, we die to the old, we evolve, we have consistently give birth. We consistently give birth to new realities. This gives us the inherent ability to enter into the transformational alchemy of our soul and transmute our pain and awaken to new levels of divinity within us, new levels of magic, new levels of love, new levels of really embodying the love. When we stop fearing the dark, we begin to own the inherent power of our being. Yeah. And in many ways, the fear, like I kind of started by talking a little bit about this, the fear is the barrier that's in the way of us really reclaiming this transformational power of our being, reclaiming our divinity. Yeah. And so just notice where you land with that transmission. And perhaps even notice how much fear has guided you, has controlled your narratives, your thoughts, your ways of thinking about who you are, what the world is. Yeah. And to the degree that you feel safe in this moment, you can allow yourself to reclaim your truth, to reclaim your light, and to ask for the support to release those old narratives of fear. where we allow the fear to be bigger than the love, right? And so we can reclaim our commitment to love right in this moment, right now. And be willing to trust the love and be willing to say, I no longer need those paradigms of fear. And I am willing to step into the unknown of divinity and trust and love even more, even more. Because the truth is, you don't know what that looks like. And that alone might be scary. But trust that you're being held, trust in divinity, trust in source, trust in the God, Mother, Father, trust in love more than the fear. And being really okay with wherever you're at in this moment. Really making peace where it's like, okay, maybe I'll surrender 20% because it's really scary. That's okay too. And there's mercy. Remember that the love is not conditional love that we're used to. The love that if we do something right or according to someone else or by somebody else's rule, that's conditional human love, right? The love that we're talking about is the love that we're talking about is the love that is unconditional, that is there whether you can reclaim it all right now in a second or whether you recognize, oh, there's a lot of fear here and I don't know if I can go through that. And I don't know. And there's a lot of shame and there's a lot of anger. And that's okay because the love of divinity is there for you in any state. Sorry, sweetie. In any state. And so you don't have to show up as this perfect idea of anything. It's like you show up exactly where you are, but you do have to choose love. You do have to choose it because you have free will. And that's what might prevent you from receiving even more. And we're in this time where the veils are very strong. The fear of the darkness is, it's all how that got distorted and is very strong. But we don't have to buy into that because it's all sourced in love. It's all sourced in love. And you are that love. We're used to, this is new for us in this, in an incarnation where we are reclaiming our divinity, not just the love that, yes, the love that comes in, the cosmic, the divine, the source that is there, and we're swimming in it and we're breathing in it. But then our individuated soul, the essence of our soul, the secret of our soul is love. That's what we're reclaiming. And so we're very close to our time. There's a couple of things that I want to first thank all of you for being here. Thank you. And I'm going to end this recording now.